All right, welcome back. The monthly jobs report just out, and it looks like the U.S. employers shrugged off last month's partial government shutdown and did lots of hiring. So joining us this morning is Doug Butler from Rockland Trust for a look really at what it all means. Doug, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Thanks a lot. It's great being here.
Yeah.
It's great giving, on a day when the jobs report is positive
of course,
and happy.
Booming numbers,
So, yeah.
I'm sure, are always good to talk about. So before we start, let's take a look at those numbers. Employers added 304,000 jobs, so that marks 100 straight months of growth, the longest such period on record. The Labor Department says also that the unemployment rate has risen to an even 4%. However, they're also saying that that's mainly because roughly 175,000 federal workers ended up being counted as temporarily unemployed because of course, that 35-day-long shutdown. Yeah. So, what effect did that shutdown really have, you think, on these numbers?
I think it had a slight effect on the unemployment rate, but it really, the numbers were really positive. The interesting thing to note about this survey is it's two surveys. One is the unemployment rate, and then the other is job growth. So it's two things, and we expected to see the numbers come out in the unemployment rate, but because the way the statistics work, it wasn't going to show up as a negative in terms of job growth. But overall, these are exceptionally strong numbers, and you see some impact on, government employees who worked part-time for economic reasons. That number grew by 11%. So that's sort of what government workers were doing while they were furloughed, and it's too bad, but it's good news that everybody's back.
Right, there is some positive there, like you said. The jobs numbers for December, though, they were revised down. So what can we read into that?
I think what we often look at the 3-month number. So like this number's really strong. Sometimes then they go back and they revise down the numbers in December. So in December, there was a much lower participation rate of employers reporting the data. So now as they gathered that number up, they're like, oh, some of the assumptions they made were off. And so they had to change the numbers down in December, up in November. Every time we have this meeting, they always change the numbers because it's really hard to count how many people are working in this country.
Of course. And then the Labor Department has said hiring has accelerated since the summertime. So is that something that's surprising in a tight labor market, you think?
I think no, because people had been running really tight to the bone. I mean, I know even at our firm, we are hiring, and there's any number of other firms that I'm talking to, you're having a harder and harder time finding people to hire. But what is great is there are more people who are reaching out. So labor force participation, the number of people who are actively looking for a job also grew. And that contributes to the higher unemployment rate because, hey, look, it's great. If there's more people looking and more jobs out there, that's a good sign for this economy.
Lastly, really quick, do you think that's a good sign when we look ahead to a potential government shutdown that may be looming in the future?
I think, I would love for them to sort of stop with the shutdowns as a policy tool. I think if there is a shutdown in the coming weeks, I would not anticipate it being the length and duration of the shutdown that happened over the December timeframe. I don't think anybody's political interest is to have people miss a couple of paychecks. And frankly, for us as a country to end up paying for people to not work, because they're going to get paid back. So then what we want to do is we want to make sure people go back to work.
All right, Doug Butler from Rockland Trust. Thank you so much for joining us here this morning. Joy, we'll send it back to you.